First things first here on More Sports and Less Levine. And that means we go to Columbus and we say hi to Doug Lesmerises of cleveland.com and the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Doug, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good. Welcome to our show for the first time. We appreciate it very much.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Tell me what happened in Columbus today as far as recruiting, and did they get the guys they thought they were going to get? Did they get more guys? Start talking.
Yeah, not much news. Yeah, there's not a lot of news to spread, to be honest. We are in the world where they have the early signing period in December now. So this first Wednesday in February used to be like a national holiday for college football fans. It's not anymore. This is sort of like the stragglers, a couple extra guys. So they're going to wind up only signing 2 more guys today. They got a guy from Hawaii, an offensive lineman named Enoch Vamahi, who was a top 150 national player. That was a good get for them. Ryan Day, the new head coach, flew to Hawaii for 4 hours and flew back while recruiting this guy. And they haven't officially announced it, but they're going to get this tackle from Indianapolis named DeWand Jones. And they're going to be the only 2 guys they signed. So that class is going to be a group of 17 overall. 15 were signed in December. And it's a team in transition from Urban Meyer to Ryan Day. So you're always going to have maybe a drop off a little bit. They lost a kid named Doug Nestor, who had been committed to them for over a year. He wound up signing with Virginia Tech today. So they're a little short on the offensive line. That's why they kind of reached for the 2 guys they got. But it's a smaller class than usual, and it's okay, but it's not quite at the level of Ohio State recruiting the last few years.
Doug, for people who don't know the system, why did they make the change in the recruiting date and or the signing date and whatever else they did? What was the purpose of it?
Yeah, I guess it's the second year of it that they moved up time. It's to get kids locked in earlier. So the schools kind of like it because there's less flipping late in the process, that you work and you can get these kids locked in December instead of waiting till February. But also the kids can sort of get done with it. They don't have to wait around and have people still calling them. So it was a big push a couple years ago. A lot of coaches liked it. Some coaches don't like it. But it basically just moved everything up. It made all the coaches work a lot harder, a lot earlier. So they're doing bowl prep in December, but they're also trying to get this class signed. So I think it's kind of weird because you used to have time after the season to finish your recruiting class. Now your recruiting class is basically 90% done during the season. But it's the world we live in, and it had been talked about for a long time, and they got to it a couple years ago.
Hey, Doug, you said 17. Is that really small for Ohio State? It sounds like a small number to me.
Yeah, they were at 24 or 25. 25 is the max to go to. They were at 24 or 25, basically all 7 years of the Urban Meyer era. They were going to be smaller this year anyway, though. The size is not a reflection of the transition, of the coaching change. The size is just they have a lot of guys left over on this roster.
Do they have scholarships left over?
They're at the max. They got
to
85 scholarship, and they had 83 before today, and now they're at 85. So they're maxed out. They could not have gone any higher.
All right. In general, what can we say about the loss of Urban Meyer and what it did to the class, or did they come out about where they would have anyway?
They lost a couple kids. This Doug Nestor kid would have signed with Ohio State. But in the end, they didn't lose much, and that's a big deal. And they kept a lot of the staff. They kept most of the offensive assistant coaches. They kept the strength coach, all that stuff. They wanted the continuity, and the result is usually you lose more in a coaching change, and they actually had very minimal effect of the coaching change in the recruiting class.
All right, up on the screen, I'm looking at numbers that I don't like. The recruiting class rankings from Rivals.com. They've got, in 2018, they had Ohio State second behind Georgia, and in 2019, they're all the way down to 21. Does that mean anything to us?
No, it does. Recruiting matters. Those rankings are based on overall grades, that the bigger your class is, the higher grade you're going to have. So some component of that is a reflection of the smaller class. However, the 2017 and 18 classes were both ranked number 2 in the country. They were super great Ohio State recruiting classes. In 2017, they had 11 of the top 100 players. In 2018, they had 13 of the top 100 players. This year's class, 4 of the top 100 players. So it's smaller, but it also is not as elite at the top as it has been the last couple of years.
Is there enough of a sample size from Rivals.com and all the other recruiting sources? Is there enough sample size to say that, or the people who do the work there, that what they're saying is correct, or their record is pretty good? I would assume it's pretty good, or they wouldn't keep referring to them.
Yeah, no, there are recruiting naysayers who like to point out every time a walk-on or a two-star kid makes it, and they say, look, recruiting doesn't matter. Recruiting matters.
Yeah. Right.
4-star and 5-star kids make it a lot. So Urban Meyer was super successful because he was really good at recruiting. So he always says if you kept score, Urban Meyer wanted to win. That included recruiting rankings. So yes, their class is smaller, but also being ranked in the teens or around number 20 or so is not where Ohio State wants to be, and they will move up and be higher in the years to come.
Do you think in any way the recruiting approach is going to change with the coaching change?
It's really interesting. Urban Meyer made this a national recruiting team with Ohio State. Ryan Day has shown so far that he is very interested in making sure they hit Ohio. It seems like a little harder than Urban Meyer had hit it. I think they're going to offer Ohio kids earlier, go after them earlier. Sometimes Ohio State in the past went national early and then got to the Ohio kids later in the process. I think it's going to be hard for Ryan Day to match Urban Meyer's national recruiting acumen. So he knows he has to lock down Ohio. They're still going to try to go national, but Urban Meyer was one of the best recruiters in the history of college football. So there may be some drop-off on what they do nationally.
Did Ryan Day surf at all during that 4-hour stretch in Hawaii, or didn't he get a chance to do that?
I don't even know if he saw the sun, man. I think he went from airport to cab to kids' living room to cab to airport. So that's recruiting, baby.
Fill us in on the quarterback situation and filings and when that decision will come down. I mean, we're assuming Fields is all right, and then who knows when that's going to happen.
Yeah, so Justin Fields needs a waiver from the NCAA to be able to play immediately at Ohio State after transferring for Georgia without having to sit out a year. He's going to get it. Whether he gets it tomorrow, next week, next month, in this summer, he's going to get it. He's going to be eligible to play this fall. And barring Matthew Baldwin, the other quarterback in this competition, having an unbelievable spring, Justin Fields is going to be Ohio State's starting quarterback in the fall. So,
right.
You know, there's a lot of like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and he's going to play.
Okay, and what does that mean as far as how many years he will, assuming he doesn't go out early, how many years will this allow him to have?
So he was a freshman at Georgia last year. This will be his second year in college, so he has to be at Ohio State at least 2 years. So if this goes the way Justin Fields wants it to go, Justin Fields will be Ohio State starter in 2019, Ohio State starter in 2020, and then he'll go to the NFL. But unlike Dwayne Haskins, who only started 1 year, Justin Fields at least has 2 years, it looks like, to be the starter here.
Justin, who can you compare Justin Fields to for people who haven't seen him play?
You know, I think Ohio State fans like to compare him to Terrell Pryor a little bit, which is just like a big physical guy who can run and throw. I think he maybe is a better thrower than Pryor, but probably not quite the runner he is. But he does have dual threat abilities. But I think they brought him here because they want to sling it around. You can't expect him to be Dwayne Haskins. He was exceptional last year, but I do think Justin Fields is going to be a guy that Ryan Day is going to have throwing the ball a lot.
It's a good fit for both Ryan Day and for Fields then?
Yeah, it's a risk. I mean, it basically ran off Tate Martell, who was the quarterback that people thought was going to be the quarterback here. As soon as Justin Fields got here, he transferred too. So Ryan Day wants to throw it more than Urban Meyer did. Urban Meyer liked the dual threat quarterback who could run the zone read. Ryan Day wants to throw the ball and throw it a lot. So I think Justin Fields fits that, but I would caution people, he's not Dwayne Haskins. You can't expect him to be Dwayne Haskins his first year here. So I think we have to temper things a little bit for the Ohio State offense in 2019.
Hey, Doug, I was wondering, the kid from Hawaii, after men have just kind of taken this Hawaii thing, what were the other schools that supposedly offered him? Do you know? Or like who was
he was committed to USC. He was committed to USC for a long time, and USC has a history of getting kids out of Hawaii. Most of those Hawaii kids stick on the West Coast, but Tua is Alabama's quarterback. He's from Hawaii and went to Alabama. So this was a function of Ohio State needing offensive linemen late in the process. Not many guys being available, and they went and made a really hard pitch for Enoch Mahi, and they got him. But for a year, people thought he was going to USC.
Well, if he makes it, then there's a tunnel coming from Hawaii to Columbus. They didn't tell him it snows here, did they?
No, I think they hide that. They recruit a lot in the South, too. They like to hide that fact for as long as possible.
I wonder if he visited.
He did visit. He visited in January. So he was here with his mom wearing a winter.
Gotta give him credit.
All right. Yeah. Hey, Doug, we really appreciate you taking your time. You do a great job covering Ohio State and all the other stuff that you do. And we're looking forward to having you on many more times in the future.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Okay, Doug Lesmerises of cleveland.com and, of course, the Cleveland Plain Dealer. We appreciate him, and I think Ohio State has done just fine.
Probably. I mean, it is interesting to me. Like I said, I'm not locked in Ohio State and other recruits, but you go to Hawaii, you beat out a kid committed to USC, and you can say, yeah, obviously Ohio State's program is better suited to USC, but you're still trying to get a kid out of Hawaii to Columbus, and they did it. Yeah,
I mean, recruiting-wise or distance-wise, that's not even halfway going to USC and then catching a flight continuing on to Columbus. So that's a good get for them. Because if he does well here, you'll see more people. It's like an untapped reservoir out there.
I mean, you go like where's population growing, and that obviously West Coast, South are those areas. So
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Terry Pluto with us. Again, our thanks to Doug Lesmerises of cleveland.com and the Cleveland Plain Dealer. We'll take a break and come on back in a moment. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. And you can catch the excitement of the harness racing Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, as well as Saturday with 6 p.m. post time. Open early every day for simulcast action from the top thoroughbred and harness tracks all around the world. Enjoy live handicapping contests all weekend long, including the popular Road to the Derby contest. And remember, free parking, free admission every day at Northfield Park. Terry Pluto and I return in a moment, right here exclusively on cleveland.com.